This is Shri and welcome to the last ever 5-minute production video update. It's been several weeks since my previous update and I have a lot of features to share with you, a lot of updates to share and demos to present. While alternating between travel and PTO for the last several weeks, 6 important merge requests have been worked upon and merged. Let's jump right in. The first merge request I'd like to share is 78875, which adds a confirmation checkbox for the service account creation phase. As you know, service account keys are sensitive and we want to validate and verify that the user knows what they're doing. We also introduced a little bit of an alert, which I will demo as well. The reviewers for this were Anna Vovchenko and Frederick Kaplete. I hope I'm pronouncing the names properly. I'm pretty sure I'm not, but apologies for that, and thank you for the excellent review. Let's jump right into the demo. So this is the little alert over here, which says enhance security by storing service account keys in secret managers, and then we link them to the relevant documentation page around that. So this is one thing that was added. The second thing was if you go into the create service account form, there is a mandatory checkbox which doesn't let you proceed until you check that in. So these were the 2 changes that were introduced. The next one is 78712, titled grant permissions to the generated GCP service accounts. So we are creating these service accounts, but we need to authorize these service accounts to act. So this merge request introduced changes which add specific GCP roles so that the service accounts can be used by the user for the tasks they were created for. Here's the list of roles. I'll not get into them in detail, but just highlight that we can discuss this offline if you want to understand a bit more why certain roles were added and certain roles were not. The reviewers for this MR were Mehmet Amin and Peter Leitze, so thank you to both of you for your support. Next we have 79487, titled configure GCP regions from projects infra Google Cloud page. This is a big one. As you can see from the list of reviewers, it had 6 reviewers. So thank you to Patrick Bear, Nikola Milojevic, Vasily Ikalyushin, Jose Ivan Farkas, Sam Figuera, and Yannick Lemon. Apologies again for messing up the names, but thank you for your support and review. So the idea is that Google Cloud has got a bunch of regions and we want to allow our users to simply configure where certain deployment environments should actually get deployed to. So I'll just start off with a quick demo here. You can see if you go to Project Infra Google Cloud, there's this section out here you will see saying no regions configured. So let's jump right in and configure a region. I'll say, okay, I want my master branch to be deployed to Europe North 1. Press the button and this creates a CI variable which gets used in the pipeline and selects that as the region. Again, the refs can be all as well, so let's say everything should be deployed to US Central, and for example I'm going to select another branch which must be in Asia. The way this works is that now you have 3 CI variables. Let's confirm that. We have 3 region CI variables targeted for specific environments. And based on that, let me see if I can reveal all the values. Should be safe. So based on that, if a pipeline is executing for the master branch, the value Europe North takes effect, and Asia East for deploy and US Central for everything else. That's pretty standard how it's going to work, and now the user has got this little bit of an interface for them to easily configure their regions. You might have also noticed that this is actually a subset of all the available regions, so we want to select a few regions which have all the features that we need either right now or in the future. So this is a subset. Over time this can be added, but personally, based on the little bit of research that I did, I decided the best way forward is to reduce it to the subset, and over time we can increase it. You have basically Asia, Europe, and US, so that's already quite broad, but specific zones can be added over time as well. That's that. The next one is a vague sounding MR. It's 80895, and it simply says refactor Google Cloud Service Account Creation Workflow. Some specific things were done over here, which are quite relevant. Let me first thank the reviewers, Bob Van Nadout, Miguel Rincon, Alex Baus, and Tom Crook. Thank you, all of you, for your support. Okay, so what does this MR do? You already noticed Git refs during the service account creation or the region configuration workflows. This used to be environments. We changed that to Git ref. So select your Git ref, and from there we'll generate the environment for you. This is consistent with the way we do Auto DevOps or the original AWS 5-minute production workflows. And the added benefit is that now there is no reliance on GitLab Enterprise only features. This is 100% open source. Apart from that, there were little tweaks made in the front-end table component, of some optimization on how we update the CI vars in the background, some serialization being done for efficiency, and so on. So minor changes, nothing to demo except the fact that you are now selecting a ref and not a pre-created environment. This is true for service accounts as well. So you're selecting a ref and not an environment. That's that. 81890. Track project Google Cloud events with Snowplow. So Snowplow is a little bit of a framework that our team has set up. It's excellent. Everybody in GitLab uses it for tracking events. So okay, let's have 5-minute production use it too. So all kinds of events, for example, the user landing on the Google Cloud page within the GitLab project, or the user creating a service account, or failing to create a service account, or configuring a region, or setting up the MR. All of these are being tracked, and this will be useful because we plan to invite some external testers soon. So it'll be nice to see what they're doing so that we can debug and find issues and try to understand the usage. So we are at the moment only tracking events. There is the next logical step where you have to make some kind of a dashboard or reporting tool so that we can understand what's going on. That's a different story for a different time. For now, just emit events from the source code from the application when certain things happen. The reviewers for this, Nikola Milojevic, Axel Garcia, and Max Orifice. Again, excellent support. Thank you so much. And finally, revoke authorizations 81069. So we give user explicit control to revoke the granted OAuth token. This happens right now automatically. I think it times out after 10 minutes and then the token is not valid anymore. But this gives the user explicit control to do so. Let's have a look at the demo. So let's revoke this authorization because I'm seeing the button. Okay, so now I'm not authorized, and if I was to create a service account or if I was to do something else, Google would ask me to grant permission to this GitLab instance, right? So you are giving this GitLab instance some control over your Google account, and this token expires in 10 minutes. But you can explicitly revoke it if you like. So if the token is active, you see this little widget out here with a button, and you can revoke the authorization. Keep in mind that when you revoke the authorization, it doesn't actually nullify the service account that is created. So there's a little bit of text here that says that this does not invalidate service accounts. So the service account, which is used by the deployment pipeline, that still has permissions, but the GitLab application gets its permission revoked on press of this button. Let's thank the reviewers. We have Ezekiel Kigbo, great support from him, Albert Salim, Doug Stull, and Justin Ho Tuan Duong. Great support from everybody. Thank you. in January, I showed you this. I showed you this timeline. It's, pardon the graphic, it's a very poorly done timeline. But I gave you an update for FY22 Q3. This is it FY22? Probably. Sorry, I get confused. FY22 Q3, yeah. And I explained the progress made in that quarter. Then I laid out the plan for Q4, FY22 Q4. That was the last quarter that ended January 31st. And then I set a goal for myself that in this quarter, in FY23 Q1, we should have a preview rollout made for early testers. That was the target I set myself. Let's have a look where we are now. We are done with the development phase. Famous last words, you're never really done with the development phase, but we've developed enough that we can actually move on to the testing phase. So the target for April, which is the last month of Q1, is to invite external testers. We've been promised external testers from several partners who've been very vocal in their support, so we want to invite them, and the mechanism for that will be rolled out in the coming weeks. But the idea is to have them sign up on gitlab.com. We invite them to a very specific trusted testers group on gitlab.com, and in that group the feature flag will be enabled, and they may create their projects and test out this feature. So this is scheduled for April 22, and we are on track for that. What I will initiate this week, and I'll give you a detail about that in my next week's video, but what I will initiate this week is the AppSec review. Based on that, we'll understand what is the fallout, like what changes we have to make and how quickly we can roll it out. But we have 1.5 months to go before the end of the quarter, so that's plenty of time to get an initial reaction for the AppSec review and to privately invite trusted testers. The focus for the next quarter, of course, is to launch it and then launch it together with our partners. But what if you are a GitLab team member? I'd like to draw your attention to the URL out here. The URL is dev.gitlab.com. On staging and dev, this has been enabled. So I invite you to try this out right now. If you want, of course, no pressure. The only requirement of you is that you have a GCP account and you have the ability or the entitlements in that GCP account to create a project, or you have access to Cloud Run on an existing project. So typically, based on the reviews that I received in all the MRs, many GitLab engineers do not have the ability to create new GCP projects because of the limits that exist. This is something I cannot help you with because I don't have the permissions to grant you those rights to create a GCP project. But I do invite you to try out with your own personal GCP account because Cloud Run as such should not cost you anything. So running a small application on Cloud Run will be very much in their free tier, so it's not going to land a big bill. And if there is a tiny bill here or there, you can of course expense it. But that's that. You are invited to test this out on dev.gitlab.org. It's live, it's running. And if you're not a GitLab team member, then I will set up a mechanism in the coming weeks. I'll set up a mechanism where you can sign up on a Google form, and based on some very basic vetting of the candidate, we will invite you to a private testers group. In that group, we'll enable this feature and you will be able to try out this amazing project infrastructure Google Cloud page. You will have access to this page and you'll be able to deploy your web applications via Cloud Run. Finally, let's see an end-to-end demo. While I talk a bit, let me go into the deployments tab and let me hit this button. It's the Cloud Run button. Configure via merge request. And this created a branch for me. The branch introduced a pipeline, and let me just create the MR. So Now I've merged the changes in the GitLab CI YAML file. This has triggered a pipeline execution. Let's have a look at the pipeline execution. It's got one job, very basic, deploy to Cloud Run. And while this job executes, it's going to take a few minutes for it to execute. While this executes, let me talk a bit about why this is the last 5-minute production video. It is the last 5-minute production video because as of next week, or I'm hoping as of next week or a week later, this project will be renamed. So we are no longer 5-minute production. We'll have a public facing name which is catchy, which is representative of what we are trying to do, and which will be marketed right through. So I hope I was able to build some suspense around why this is the last 5-minute production video, because the next video will be titled something else. That's that. Here's the pipeline being executed. You can see it's fairly straightforward. Pulls a Docker image which contains the deployment scripts and everything else, and it executes. You can see that it's passing the region based on the configuration. Let's verify that, shall we? The region is US Central 1. And did we configure US Central 1? Oh, we did. So again, it's applying the all wildcard. So this new branch is called deploy to Cloud Run, and it's using US Central 1. This is my project ID. This is potentially going to be the URL. Bam, there you go. The job is fully executed, which is great. And let me close this tab and close this tab and take you back to the MR. This is the MR, right? And let me refresh. And you will see that we have a button out here which invites me to view the application, and the application is the one that we just deployed. This is an end-to-end demo. Hopefully this long video update was exciting enough for you, and I hope you're looking forward to the new 5-minute production name next week. See you later.